What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. This week we hit 2,000 subs. Thanks for that. And on top of that, I also got 20 strong in the mail. I was really excited about that because I really enjoy all of the Chip Theory games in my library, which is all of them. They offer a luxury gaming experience that very few, if any, game makers can match. Now, the thing that was really cool about 20 Strong was it takes the Chip Theory magic and puts it in a box that I could take with me on a trip. But does it deliver? Let's find out. So for right now, this is the entirety of the 20 Strong line, but I don't think it's going to stay that way for very long because this is a modular game. So far, we have decks for Hoplomachus Victorum, Solar Sentinels, and Too Many Bones. Also in the package, you're going to have a chip that is used for tracking. You're going to have a general play rule book, and then you're going to have some dice. These particular dice have quite an odor to them.
You stink.
But I'm told that's going to go away soon. The rules and setup for the game are extremely simple. Each of the different deck choices, Solar Sentinels, Victorum, or Too Many Bones as I have here, change the setup and the general rules of the game slightly to create a more thematic experience for the world that they're depicting. All of the games are going to start with picking a hero and a big bad. So with the hero, they each are going to have 3 statistics, that being health, strategy, and recovery. You represent these with the dice that have the reflecting symbol on them, but they change during play quite a bit. Rewards will be able to raise your health, your recovery, or your strategy. Your health is how many hits you can take before you die. Your strategy is going to be how many times you get to commit and roll dice each engagement. And then your recovery is going to be how many dice you get to recover from the exhausted pool after each said engagement. Additionally, each hero is going to offer some sort of special ability. Particularly with the Too Many Bones heroes, you get a special ability and a backup plan which allows some additional gameplay choices. The default is for you to have all of the starting dice at the beginning of the game. However, Victorum changes that a little bit. But since we're using Too Many Bones as an example, we're going to have all the dice. Each die is going to have a separate number of hits on it, reflected by the number of notches around the symbol on the die. Since this is a red die, the only red die, you get 6 notches, meaning all 6 of these are hits. Whenever you go to the purple die, they only have 5 hits, meaning one of these sides is going to be a miss. Whenever you go to the blue die, it has 4 hits, and then the green die has 3, and the yellow die only has 2. Other than the red die, there are 4 of each of the other colors to start the game. Additionally, one side of each die is going to have this special symbol for the hit with the Chip Theory logo on it. That is critical, and it counts as if you had 2 separate hits with one die. There are 2 separate parts of each round, the activation phase and the engagement phase. For the example here, we're going to use the Too Many Bones activation rules because that's the setup that I have here. For the activation phase, you're going to look at your day tracker, and you are going to take the day that you are on, in this case 1, and that's how many baddie points reflected by the 1 and 5-point baddie stacks that you would select from to choose your opponent if you go with a battle. You can also pick from an encounter deck, which could be an encounter, it could be some loot that you can open with a lockpicking game, or it could be a tyrant encounter. After you choose, let's say we're going to do a battle, and we're going to do a number of baddie points equal to the day. So for day 1, it would be 1 baddie point, so 1 1-point baddie. If it was day 4, it would be 4 1-point baddies. If it was day 5, it'd be 1 5-point baddie. If it was day 6, it'd be a 5-point and a 1-point, so on and so forth. So our baddie that we got for day 1 is Modified Farm Equipment. It has 3 hit points. It does 1 damage if it's not destroyed. And it has an ongoing ability. In each roll dice step, for each miss rolled, change an unapplied hit to a miss. So you want to make sure that you're not rolling dice that are going to have lots of blanks, because each one is going to cause you to miss an additional. And then if you defeat this, you get to use this special ability. Place 1 banish die back in your die pool. When you roll dice, you can apply hits. In this case, this would be 2 hits. When I get 3 hits, then that will defeat that baddie. But you only roll dice during the engagement phase. So let's go to that. So I've got all these dice to work with, and I can choose how many I'm going to use. And I can do this up to 3 times each engagement because I have a strategy of 3. I know I need to get 3 hits on this guy. I've got a red die, so let's go ahead and do that. And I'll do 1 purple die for the first roll. This is because if I get a crit, that counts as 2 hits. This has 5 sides that have at least 1 hit, and this has all 6 sides with a hit. So it's not much risk here. So I've rolled my first time. I could accept this as a hit and keep rolling this and even add more die up to 2 more times. But I think I'm going to reroll both because I can't get any worse than what I already got there. So in this case, on my second roll with just these 2 dice, I got a crit and a regular hit. That's 2, 3 hits. That's enough to kill this baddie. So since there are no misses at the end of the dice step, the roll dice step, this doesn't come into play. If I had any banished dice, I could put 1 back into my pool. So I have now defeated this baddie. I'll put it over here. If I had missed any, I could put those into my backup plan, but only on the matching color. The backup plan is an additional ability that you can use. At the end of the battle, any dice that I've used, whether I applied them or not, are all going to be exhausted. So in this case, these 2 dice would be exhausted. But if I'd rolled all of these, they would all be exhausted at the end of the engagement, at the end of the battle, rather. Then you get to recover up to your recovery stat in dice. So you want to grab your best dice, probably, and then these stay exhausted. Where some of the neat strategy of this game comes into play, let's say I had built up 5 hit points, but I've used several of my dice. I could actually just allow this to hit me for 1, because this is its damage, and recover 2 dice. I could allow it to hit me again and recover 2 more dice. And again. And there I'm trading life to get dice back from my pool. You wouldn't want to do that with anything that has an ability that causes you to lose additional advantages whenever you take damage from it. And you wouldn't want to do that with an enemy that does more than 1 damage, probably. But you can see that there are ways to get your dice back in your pool. At the end of the game, you're going to finally get to a point where you can fight the big bad, which is going to be different in Solar Sentinels, Victorum, and Too Many Bones. There are multiple options to choose from in each of the decks, and all of them have different playstyles. And when you finally get through the game and you have your showdown, whenever you beat the big bad, you are going to have a very good satisfaction from knowing that you made enough good choices during your playthrough to complete such a difficult task. So that was a very brief overview of how the game works, and you can go to Chip Theory Games YouTube channel to see much more detailed videos on how to play this game, and there's lots of good examples of gameplay already. So I'm going to talk more about what I thought about the game at this point. The dice themselves are very similar to Hoplomachus, with a single critical side on each that counts as 2 hits being the only difference. Well, that and the fact that the black dice in Hoplomachus became purple dice in 20 Strong. The strategic play is really interesting to watch play out. You can't afford to fail to defeat conflict cards often because hit points is at a premium. But you also can't afford to overcommit dice either. You only get 17 for the whole game. If you lose your best dice early, they won't be available to contribute to defeating the boss. That is, unless you're able to recover them. So does it accomplish its goal? Is this a true Chip Theory experience in a much cheaper and more portable format? I think it does. I was skeptical that the different decks would feel different enough in gameplay with the similar core rules set. I can tell you with confidence that my skepticism was unwarranted. I found it does indeed feel very different fighting in the arena than it does crossing the Cibron to fight a tyrant in Daylor. For the $70 price tag to have all 3 of these decks, I am very satisfied with my purchase. And you can actually get the base game with Solar Sentinels for only about 35 or 40 bucks. So where does it go from here? Well, there's going to be tons of options for expansion for this game, and as it was very popular during the crowdfunding campaign, I fully expect those to be realized. One of the ones that I'm most looking forward to is the potential Cloudspire expansion, as that game is one of my favorites, but I don't always have 3 hours to spend, and I don't always have the cognitive capacity to pay that much attention for an entire game session. So if they could squeeze that into one of these 45-minute to an hour sessions of 20 Strong, I'm all on board. Take my money. So if you have not jumped into the Chip Theory pool yet, if you've not tried one of their games, this is a perfect gateway game. In my opinion, this is a much better gateway product for Chip Theory than the smaller box versions of Too Many Bones, better than Triplock. This is a true Chip Theory games experience with lots of great history and flavor and artwork, great components, all at an affordable price and with a much smaller footprint and gameplay time. That being said, now for the bad. There have been several reports of some quality issues with some of the delivered product, and I did not escape that myself. I actually have 2 dice that have large chunks out of them, not enough that it really affects gameplay that much, but when you pay $70 for a new game, you'd like it to be complete and functional. So I'm confident that they will fix my problem. They'll send me the new dice and it won't be an issue, but it's a little bit of an annoyance. Another thing, the dice that I received and that my other friend that I know that bought this game received, both have a strong odor about them. It's not as bad at first smell, but after I played the game for an hour tonight, I did start to get a little bit of a headache, and I definitely felt the effects after I was done playing the game. That being said, you air out the dice, they're going to be fine, and this is going to be a game that's going to be worth that minor inconvenience for a short term in order to be able to own this for years and years to come. That's my thoughts. I would love to hear yours. If you have played 20 Strong, if you have any thoughts about 20 Strong or any questions about 20 Strong, please put a comment down in the video. And this will be one of 2 videos I release. I'm going to release another one over the weekend that's RPG related. So that's coming as well. Again, thank you guys for getting me to 2,000 subs. And until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.